Let's talk about getting really ridiculously fast. Today we're going to talk about sprinting for field and court sports, but specifically acceleration, because this is key when it comes to our sports on the field, on the court, on the ice, because we're usually doing small, short, explosive accelerations, not really getting into maximum velocity, which comes after about the 20-25 meter mark. And we want to figure out how to get that faster and how to absolutely maximize our acceleration phase. So let's get into the nitty-gritty details of acceleration. First of all, we need to get through some very basic definitions. So stride length, it's self-explanatory in that it's the length of a stride. But in acceleration, you can imagine it's pretty important because we don't want to kick our foot out super far in front of us in the acceleration phase. Our stride length is probably going to look and feel shorter than it is in max velocity, where we feel like we're flying. Stride frequency is also higher in acceleration because we're taking more steps and faster. Ground contact time, or GCT, is super important in sprinting as well because it's how much time we spend on the ground. We're trying to get back to the ground quicker and then come back up off it. Ground reaction force, or GRF, is also important. It's actually the force that the ground puts on a body that's in contact with it. There are propulsive forces and there are braking forces. Literally pushing away the ground and then stopping ourselves. And it's literally a mix, a relationship of this happening the whole time. If you applied logic to the situation, you would think braking forces means I'm going to go slower, so I want to take away all the braking forces. But actually, braking forces have a positive association and a positive statistical relationship with speed, meaning when we take braking forces away, we might actually get slower. This switch off between braking and propulsion, which is literally the ability to move forward against the ground, and that is what helps us to sprint fast. Now, the acceleration phase, to get really oversimplified, can be broken down into the following equation. Strength plus technique equals a fast acceleration, especially in field and court sports because we're not starting from a very static position, meaning we're not on the ground coming out of start blocks. We're probably not even in a still position starting from zero movement at all. We're probably in motion, so it's going to be a dynamic start anyway, and we're definitely not going to start from the ground unless you've fallen and you can't get up. The first steps of the acceleration phase in order to gain that initial burst of speed are super strength oriented, meaning we're going to spend a lot of time on the ground. So that ground contact time is going to be high. Our whole foot is likely to land on the ground and then push off. In order to continually propel ourselves forward and actually get faster though, we're going to cut down our ground contact time with every single step. And this is where lower leg stiffness comes into play because we need our joints, we need the musculature, we need everything to be on lockdown for us to even absorb the force and then generate it again to push us away even faster this time. If we look at this leg, we need this to be stiff when we push the ground away. So here, our foot is flat on the ground, we're pushing the ground away, we're toeing off, we're going to be in about this position as we accelerate. And we want it to be stable in order to push off more quickly. If this is not stable, we're going to be in the position where the heel always drops down, meaning we're going to have a really slow or not super amazing heel recovery, meaning the heel isn't going to pop up really fast. We're not going to have the ability to basically touch the ground and immediately push off again. We're going to need to absorb that force, drop the heel back down, which wastes more time and raises our ground contact time, of course, and then push off. And this is where we get that mix of propulsive and braking forces, of course, but leg stiffness is a really important component of sprinting in general. We can say that our hands lead our knees, meaning we want, in our first step, to throw one arm backwards and one arm up, because we want this really beautiful counterbalance, but it also helps us to get into a position where we can propel ourselves forward. It can be really difficult in acceleration to not just drop the shoulders down, but rather to still have a stable position where the upper body is still straight and it's still in a good solid posture and position. If you've ever tried one arm or no arm sprinting before, you know how important the arms are for our success in sprinting. If you haven't tried that yet before, I suggest you try it at your next training. You will never take your arms for granted again or your arm swing for granted again. So we want this big arm swing in order to generate power with our upper body also, but also to counterbalance the extremely aggressive motions that we're doing with our lower body. So our hands actually guide our legs. They're moving at the same time, if not a little bit faster. So the hand should be coming up as the knee in the first step of the sprint then begins to drive forward. The hand should be about here. We have a big arm swing in which one hand is up near the eyes, the elbow is at about 90 degrees, and one arm is extended behind. In the first couple steps, again, it's really important that we're not driving ourselves up vertically, but we're driving ourselves horizontally because we need that horizontal propulsion. Once we've got our body into the first step, we're in extension now. Our hips should be close to extension, if not completely in it. Here we've got a super high quad involvement. Even if we're not toeing off, but rather we're in this position, we still have a lot of calf involvement here because again, we're pushing the ground away. So how can we get faster? This is what you're here to find out. Whole body strength training is really important. Like I said, in acceleration, the combination is really great technique, finding the rhythm, and having the strength. So if you're somebody who doesn't struggle with maximum velocity sprinting at all, the elasticity is there, the speed is there, the power is there, but you're just really missing that strength, then you really do need to get into the gym. In addition to strength training and sprinting regularly, there's a couple of rhythm and technical drills that we would also add in. First gear. This drill is really great for learning how to increase stride frequency, which is a huge issue oftentimes for field and court sport athletes because their first impulse is to take a huge first step. And this trains taking smaller steps, which also improves change and direction ability. The second one is a more accentuated version of this and a more advanced version, high knees, also known as third gear. This is another great drill for teaching rhythm, for teaching stride frequency. Instead of putting bunches of force against the ground, just think, get back to the ground, get back to the ground. And lastly, we can make it a simple progression in high knees to sprint, working on that rhythm, that elasticity, that mid-foot landing, that stride frequency, and then transitioning using throwing your center of mass forward into a sprint, which is also great for teaching acceleration position, but also change of direction ability. So if you clicked on this video hoping for information on how to improve your acceleration and how to run faster, I hope you found your answer. 1, lift weights. 2, include running drills that improve your rhythm and technique in your sessions. 3, go sprint often. 10 to 20 meters, that'll do the trick and give 100% capacity because remember, not maximal sprinting is not maximal sprinting. It's the intention of running with 100% that actually helps us get faster. So if you're running sub-maximally or below 90% effort, you're not really going to get that benefit of maximal sprinting, aka running at 100% for every single rep and then recovering really well up to 1 minute per 10 meters run in between each repetition. And of course, there are so many other drills. If you find something that is helpful for you, that improves your acceleration, I would love to see it. I can't list off every drill that's helpful for acceleration in this video, but I hope that you can use these 3, the basic forms, the basic rhythms, and the basic techniques and shapes, and the basic postures that the body uses in these drills to improve your acceleration. I'm excited to hear about it. Let me know how it goes.